Depression can take many forms. However, if you don't know which form you're struggling with, you may have difficulty treating it. Previously, I described 4 types of depression with the hope of helping people to identify the specific form they're struggling with so that they can pursue the most effective course of treatment. Of the 4 types of depression I described, I found that the trickiest to treat might well be what I call existential depression. As the name implies, existential depression is a depressed state caused by one's hopelessness, fear, or uncertainty about the existential issues we face in the human experience. It may be the type of depression that afflicted poor Hamlet in the Shakespearean play that bears his name. What is the meaning of life? Does my life have a purpose? Does God exist? Is there some form of life after death? Are there karmic consequences to my actions? Is my suffering in this life a form of punishment by God? Or is it meant to teach me important lessons about the meaning of life? These are big questions. Do they have answers? In my experience, existential depression is common at 3 stages in life. The first is the angst-filled teenage period, when adolescents reflect on their future for the first time, including their life goals and their mortality. This is often the time when they're first learning in school about the atrocities of human history, including the Holocaust and the Rwandan Civil War, and they feel a sense of pessimism about humanity. The second period is the proverbial midlife crisis stage, when people realize that they relinquished many of their glorious dreams from childhood and adolescence simply to maintain survival or raise a family. The third stage is retirement, when people often struggle to find a purpose for the remainder of their lives, seeing death approaching on the horizon and fearing that their best years of life may be behind them. Existential depression may well be the trickiest type to treat for mental health professionals because the existential questions that cause this type of depression don't have obvious or objective answers, at least not within the realm of psychiatry or psychology. Taking Prozac won't give those with existential depression a new identity or purpose, nor will it help them to discover the meaning of life. Similarly, psychotherapy approaches that focus on concrete symptom relief are not very effective either. The symptoms emanating from existential depression come from a deep nebulous source, and they don't respond much to techniques that simply address one's cognitive errors, irrational beliefs, or lack of engagement in pleasurable activities. In my experience, treating existential depression generally requires a combination of strategies, integrated over a long period of time. First, I believe that ongoing psychotherapy with a therapist that is insight-oriented, possibly from a psychodynamic or psychoanalytic orientation, is a good place to start. Therapy should not be pushed at a pace faster than the patient is willing to go, and it is not uncommon for therapy to proceed for several years without visible evidence of progress. However, therapists should not lose faith, as therapy is secretly providing patients with the safe space necessary to explore new possibilities and identities in an environment that is validating and free of judgment and expectations. Although it might not be evident, progress is likely being made, even if it doesn't seem like it. Second, exploration and participation in groups oriented towards big picture goals, like religious and spiritual groups, philosophy circles, book clubs, and humanitarian organizations, can be an important adjunct to therapy, helping patients consider different life goals and purposes. Such groups enhance the feeling of connectedness, particularly if the members are aligned in a common purpose or a shared belief system. Third, I think that experiencing foreign cultures and different ways of life can be especially helpful as well. If you don't have the ability to move to a foreign country, take a pilgrimage. When it comes to pilgrimages, you may find that walking in the footsteps of those who have traveled the same path for centuries inspires a deep sense of awe, giving you perspective on your own life in the present. If that is what moves you, consider an established pilgrimage with some history behind it, like the Camino de Santiago in Spain. the Kumbh Mela in India, or the Hajj in Mecca, or for those with more secular interests, the Burning Man Festival in Nevada. On the other hand, you may want to create your own pilgrimage. Are you interested in seeing the 7 natural wonders of the world, or visiting every national park in the United States, or seeing the glaciers of the Arctic before they melt? Are you willing to join the Peace Corps and experience a standard of living much different than your own? If so, you may find that there's an inverse relationship between material wealth and psychological well-being. Finally, regardless of whether you choose to take a physical pilgrimage, I believe it's important for those struggling with existential depression to go on an existential quest. Keep a journal of your existential and spiritual beliefs. Question your beliefs over and over and over, and see how they evolve over time. Study how death is handled in different cultures. Talk with the hospice nurses about their experiences. Meet with people who claim to have had contact with forces outside of our usual awareness or experience, like a medium or someone that's had a near-death experience. And decide for yourself, not based on what others say. You may want to check out the recent Netflix documentary series, Surviving Death, which covered some of these topics in greater depth. Or you may want to search for books and videos yourself that might set you on a path for greater discovery. I wish you well on your journey. Perhaps we will meet up somewhere together down the road along the path. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I invite you to click the like button below and to subscribe to my YouTube channel, MindCube3D. I also invite you to check out my blog on psychologytoday.com called The Cube.